Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. My name is Roger Bissessar, and I'd like to welcome you to our program, Our Islam, Peace, Not Hostility. This is a program brought to you by the Ahmadiyya Anjuman Nishati Islam Incorporated of Trinidad and Tobago, an organization promoting a peaceful Islam, a tolerant Islam, an intelligent Islam. An organization dedicated to the pristine Islam as taught by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, upon whom be peace. I have the privilege of delivering our talk today. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Sirata ladhina an'amta alayhim, ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Amin. As I was preparing my talk for today's program, I got a phone call, and I got a message that a dear friend of our family had passed away. I stopped and I paused, and as all Muslims do, I recited, Inna ilahi wa inna ilahi rajiun. From Allah we come, and to Him is our eventual return. And it's a simple code, it's a simple recitation, but it's so profound because we come from our Creator, and we have a small span of time here, and then we pass away and we move on. So to the members of the Muhammad family, we extend sincerest condolences on the passing of Brother Harun Muhammad. And I'd like to dedicate today's talk to his memory. In a few days' time, we'll be coming to the end of 2019. And the thing about any year, as you end a year, it's a mix of emotions. There is a bit of buzz, there's excitement, there's happiness, and also there's a bit of sadness. One feels happiness for making it to the end of a year, for the achievements that you would have accomplished, for all that was realized, for still being around, having the gift of life, for having the gift of health, for having the gift of strength to prepare for the new year. But there is also sometimes a tinge of sadness for the things that did not go as according to plan, for the things that did not work out. For in the case of like our dear family, for like a loss of a loved one, as you know, it's an unplanned event, and we're now, like for example, the midst of festivities during the holiday season, the family would have to plan for this particular loss. And life is like that, cyclic, full of ups and downs. So in terms of ending the year, it's a mix of emotions. The thing about ending this year, it's a very pivotal period in all of our lives, because in a few days' time, we'll be ushering in 2020, which in itself is not only a new year, but signals the start of a new decade, a whole span of time. And we look back of previous instances of, when you start a decade, from the start of a decade to the end of it, the cyclic nature, the significant changes, that can happen over a span of 10 years. So we enter 2020, of course, not only with a new year, but a new decade. It will be the period 2020 to 2030. That in itself, in our minds, we can enter with a different perspective. Now, in entering this new decade, we can have probably two approaches. You could look at it, of course, as with hope, with excitement, as an opportunity to create so many new things. You can look at it as a period of renewal, recalibration, resetting. And unfortunately, though, sometimes others may look at it with a bit of anxiety, with fear, with worry, with a bit of trepidation, because when you look back on this year and the last couple of years, if things have not been going well, you would think to yourself, what is this whole new period going to bring? Is it only going to get worse? And if you enter with that approach, you're starting on the wrong footing. Now, the mindset that we take into entering this new year is very important, because it sets the tone for not only the year, but as the years progress going forward. There's a lot of uncertainty in the new year, but there's a few things that we can't predict. And as when we look forward, as I say, there's a couple of days as we get ready for 2020. What are some of the things we can't predict that will be happening in the new year and even in the new decade that is before us? One, we are sure there's going to be uncertainty. Because looking at the trends over the last 10 years or 20 years, the pace of the world in terms of the political realm, economic realm, financial realm, the technical realm, in terms of technology, the velocity of change that has happened, the transition. I mean, from a political realm, 10 years you're cycling like two governments. So you're not only looking at a one term, it's two governments by the time you start and move on with transition any state. Economically, what could happen even in the stock market or in the country or with the systems. So going into it, you are sure there's going to be uncertainty. So that is something you could plan for, because now in the new realm of planning, new realm of management, uncertainty is part of what we have to deal with. The second thing, we're sure it's going to be cyclic. There'll be highs, there'll be lows. There's going to be good times, there's going to be bad times. So that's one thing we know in terms of going into the decade, that there is going to be a whole cyclic trend of things. And then we need to step back to understand, do we get caught in the cycle emotionally? Are we going up and down and up and down? Or do we, recognizing this cyclic nature, are able to maintain some balance and control as things cycle around us? The third thing, and this is a certainty, it's going to be fast-paced. If we think the last 10 years was fast, in the realm of evolution, of systems, technology, the last 50 years witness a velocity unlike anything seen for hundreds of years before. And I think the next 10 years is going to be a different type of pace, probably something that we can't even begin to imagine. In the realm of digitization, technological development, the systems are going to come, it's going to be very fast-paced. It's going to have a lot of change coming at us. There's going to be the rapid advancement of technology as things move on. And that's the fourth thing, technology itself. We're going to see a lot of new technology coming out. Every decade has it. You have new things that will come our way. The fifth thing, and I think this is going to impact us in every form and fashion in terms of society, the strides in artificial intelligence. We've seen it, a bit of it in the last decade, but artificial intelligence is going to take a bigger control. The debate has been raging in terms of the ethical side of it, the impact of it, what is going to happen. But the way our technology is set up, or all our information, because of the internet, because of our presence online, you make a purchase, you do a trend, all the data iterates, and through the iterations, you come up with new solutions and better ways of doing things. Anyone venturing into business, and you're talking about not just business at a local level, at a regional or international level, you have to get on board with the pace that is happening with digitization. You need to understand the power of iteration, what is going on with artificial intelligence. So these are things that are going to be coming at us in the new decade. The sixth thing, and this is a certainty, there's always new systems in any decade. So in any realm, there will be new systems, new ways of work, new ways of doing things. I can't sit here and predict what it will be, but I can say with certainty it will come. There will be management systems, looking at new ways of work, new ways of operating. We only have to look back and see in each decade how the way of work has changed and what has become different. Right. The seventh thing is, as I mentioned earlier, a little bit we touched on it, new inventions. The creative nature of human beings, that our potential, the power of the mind. You look at the trends and you will always, that need is the mother of invention. As society evolves and there are new needs, our bright young minds will find ways to create things to fulfill those needs. The eighth thing is that there will be bends in the road. And bends in the road is something we have seen a lot of over the last decade. Bends in the road would be you're going down a particular path, whether you're in a company, and a whole directional change because of what is going on in the world, and people thinking they're going this way and then you have to go that way. It doesn't only happen in companies. You might be in an NGO, and what you're working towards and what you're hoping to do, a new board comes in and takes an entire different direction. The way the world is set up, bends in the road, symbolizing that normally you would start with a point A to point B. It's a straight line. You have a clear line of direction where you're going. The new order of the world is different. It's a lot of bends, a lot of turns, and you have to be able to manage what is happening. And the ninth thing, the last thing I'll touch on, is what I like to refer to, and what one of those writers I like to follow, Ram Charan, talks about a lot in his literature, what is known as structural change. We've touched on it a lot in the past. A structural change now is that an entire change of need in a society. So for as basic as it is, a society may be listening to music on the record player with vinyl, and then the invention of the CD comes about, so that entire industry goes down. Only collectors might still have their records, but the entire industry is wiped out. And then now with CDs now, everything is streaming. So that's a whole change in how things are done. Structural change is not even just marginal changes, it's an entire evolution of things, My brother sent me a picture recently showing the year 2009 versus the year 2019. It was a picture of a helicopter and a cameraman in the helicopter taking footage. And the 2019 picture is a picture of a drone. Now, in the 2009 picture, the pilot was sitting in the chopper. In the 2019 picture, the pilot stands on the ground and operates the drone. And there's no need for the cameraman because the drone has the technology to do the footage. That's an example of a structural change where a whole evolution of technology changes out the helicopter company that would have been renting, you'd have to rent a helicopter, pay for a cameraman, pay for camera time. That's gone. There now you invest in a very good drone and someone can operate it and you get all your footage. If you have to survey a field or do whatever you want, spec equipment. And that's an example of how the changes are going to happen in the way we work and things that are happening around us. As we prepare for the new decade, what are some of the characteristics that we need to survive any new decade? What are some of the qualities we require? And one of the most important things, you have to have courage. You need to be brave. If you start out on a venture, especially if you're going into the unknown, full of fear, full of worry, full of anxiety, then you're setting yourself up for failure. You have to be brave. You have to believe in your ability and you embrace the change or do your homework to try and understand the change. Second thing, you need to have faith. Faith, one, in your ability. Faith, one, if you could find the resources or the tools to help you face what you're having. And faith to the point that you're just not this basic physical entity facing this unknown, that you are connected to a higher source, that you have a creator that guides you, that will If you turn to the Creator for help and ask for that guidance, you can get that support that you require. So you are not alone. We, at times, are our worst enemies. And we underestimate our potential. We sometimes may put ourselves down. We have to dig deep, as it were, and realize we can stretch ourselves and can do better than we think we can. This brings me to the third point. And in a period of high intensity, high pressure, and high stress, we have to be resilient. There is a term that, you know, some of the older generation shared with me. You have to have mettle. Right? And that's a quality they say sometimes that is lacking in a new generation coming forward, that you bend easily, or we give up too easily. You have to have mettle, as it were, to face it head on, and if you fall down, get up again, figure out why you failed, and keep at it. This new decade will really test people. The resilience level has to go up. You have to become more resilient to face all the changes that are coming, everything that is happening to us. The fourth one is that we will have disappointments. We need to recognize that we have disappointments, and there is a bit of a cycle, right? So you would have a disappointment, and there is a cycle where you need to, of course, spend a little time experiencing that disappointment, but you must make it a reference point, not a place of residence. So you have a disappointment, and you're not going to spend your time living there and going into a realm of where you get into a state of depression because you fail at this venture or you didn't go out as planned and you experience it. Use it as a reference point, but you need to quickly now move on, understanding lessons from the disappointment, understand why you experienced the disappointment. What can I learn? Why did this happen? Probably there's something better in store for me. And then build off of this to go forward. The next point is that we need to be nimble. This is my fifth point, is that you can't have too much encumbrances, as it were, things that weigh you down. Because the new world order requires people who are agile, who are nimble, who are able to maneuver, whether in the world of work, in terms of the technology, in terms of understanding what is happening, to be able to think on their feet, to be able to, deal with situations. Because in a world where technology is evolving, where companies would therefore have more efficient ways of doing things and may look to downsize, to look to, either trim staff, or you may have entire industries going down. You have more and more people fighting for less and less jobs. And that becomes a very high stress situation. You need, as an individual, if you get caught in a situation like that, take a step back and look at the landscape, not only on your own, but seek out some help to navigate the landscape, and getting back going, have to be nimble to maneuver the new world order, as it were. The sixth point I'd like to share in terms of going into this new decade, and it's a very important point, and is all as all the scriptures that we study: acquire knowledge, improve your skills. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, upon whom be peace, there's a saying: acquire knowledge from the cradle to the grave. It's a lifelong learning. There's nice management speak for it about in terms of continuous learning and upgrading, but you'll study all our scriptures, all our great prophets and personalities. The acquisition of knowledge has always been a pillar of all our great religions. That knowledge of not only the spiritual realm, but knowledge of the world that we live in and we exist in. Knowledge, whether it's a scientific realm or the economic realm, but upgrade, improve our knowledge, improve our skills to face the challenges. That is what will give us that edge in terms of surviving, not only surviving, but thriving in a new era. So the seventh point, we need to be able to upgrade our approach. Sometimes when we get cemented in habits and behaviors and ways of doing things, we are not able to adapt to the changes that are happening to our environment. Upgrade sometimes means that we have to try new things. Subtle changes in our approach to systems and behavior so that we are also able to change. You know, I was talking to a group of friends recently, and I was sharing the example. We were looking at music throughout the ages, and to those who listen to a bit of rock music, I was drawing an analogy like a band like, for example, Bon Jovi, who would have late 70s, early 80s, very heavy metal, and then transitioned into the 80s and a little more different type of, you know, rock, and then in the 90s became a soft rock band, and they evolved with the time. The band U2, for example, is a similar example. Great band, right, great band, and they were able to, each decade, they reinvented themselves. So there are certain bands, if you go on tour and you listen to them, they have a good repertoire of songs, but they were able to evolve with the era. And I use an example of music. There are some bands, the era they have one genre of music, one style. So when the decade ended, that was the end of the band. They could not function anymore. So you find that that's the same thing in our lifestyle, that using the analogy of music, that how great bands can evolve with time. Each decade we need to evolve and understand the era that we are in. The 8th point I'd like to talk about is self-care. And this is something, as the world has become fast and hectic, sometimes individuals don't take time to take care of themselves. You know, it's always about, in terms of the family, you might have to take care of the children, the spouse, parents, neighbors, you're involved in an NGO, and you take care of everyone but yourself. So at the end of the week, you run yourself ragged. You look at the mirror and you're like, what is going on with me, you know? Take a little time to take care of yourself. Once in a while, if you can, you know, treat yourself, you know, pay a little extra if you can. If for your birthday coming up and you need that gift, treat yourself to a really nice haircut, go to the spa, get, you know, treated, get a good massage, take care of yourself, go out with a few friends, dine a bit. Not every week, but I mean, you need to pause and take care of yourself. Because if you don't take care of yourself, you run yourself into the ground. And then, you know, you become very stressed out. So self-care is a very important aspect of going forward in a new decade. The 9th point, be curious. Be curious as you venture forth in the new decade. A lot of things are going to change. A lot of things will happen. Be curious to learn, to explore, to challenge, to create, and enjoy the decade that comes. The 10th point is to form alliances. You need to form alliances because in the new way of the world, you can't do things on your own. You need to probably have, you know, if you're doing business and you're starting up, you have someone you could bounce things off of, you form partnerships, you form agreements, so you go into a meeting as a group, or, you know, you offer a suite of services, because you can't do it all on your own. If you're an NGO and you're accustomed to doing things on your own, partner with another NGO, you know, partner with other groups. Our mosques, our temples, our churches, sometimes we are bounded by our own organizations. It's an era now where what stops the church and the mosque in a district from partnering to do a program, sharing costs, sharing objectives in terms of the society? It's not us versus you. We are all in this together. We are all trying to improve our society. We are all trying to make positive change. It's an era of alliances. This new decade should be one where we need to think outside the box and form alliances, as it were. The 11th thing is share knowledge. So if you spend time acquiring all this knowledge and learning things, share that knowledge. I have had the privilege, for example, of being mentored by many people in different realms, in terms of the NGO realm, in terms of the religious realm, in terms of technical realm. And when I look back, you know, many years have passed, and I'm like, where did the time go? And I am now realizing I'm at the point, I'm now transitioning to the point, as I look to the next decade, I now have to become a mentor for a lot of the younger ones that are coming up. Because those who have mentored me are slowly passing away. They are no longer around, and the baton is being passed on. I think based on where you are in your organization as well, you can look at that as a time probably to share that knowledge that you have. And the 12th point is that charity, always give back to society. Not only in the form of those in need like a dollar value, which is important, or food to those who need. But charity takes all forms. You give of your time, you give of your knowledge, you give of your resources. One has to be and recognize that you are a conduit of the divine. So through you, that the work of the divine flows. And that is an important thing. As I prepare to close the talk, just a few points and then we'll wrap up, is that we have to have that determination to succeed. You know, there's a story of from the life of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, upon whom be peace, where he was asked, what is one of the worst days of your life? The Prophet reflected and he said to the person who asked him the question, that day at Taif. Now, as Muslims, we know the story. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, upon whom be peace, went to the town of Taif to preach and propagate the religion of Islam. And he was stoned. He was physically stoned. Stones hit him and he was bleeding. He was wounded. He limped out of Taif. People stoning him and running him from the town. And there's narration that, you know, the angel came to the Prophet Muhammad, upon whom be peace, in that state and said to him, O Messenger of Allah, just say the word to us, just say be, and we will destroy Taif and the people of Taif. And the Prophet paused and said to the angel, no. If they don't believe, their children will believe. And if their children don't believe, the children of those children will believe. It's an amazing story. It's documented, and it is, you know, if you think of your own life, if you go to with a project or you go to something to promote that tongue and people physically stone you, and you had the power to just take down that, torch that whole tongue, would you have that ability to say no, you know, I show mercy, I show forgiveness? This is the kind of example we learn from our great personalities. In this incident in the life of the Prophet, he demonstrated patience, he demonstrated determination, he demonstrated mercy. And of course, it's history now that Taif came into the fold of Islam many years after. As you face the decade, you will have periods of disappointment. You have to have the character, you have to have the patience to face the challenges that come your way. Learn from them, rebuild, and, you know, don't give up. An important aspect of the decade is that we must learn from the lessons of the great personalities that have gone before us. A lot of the great personalities, when we study from scripture, we study the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, the Ramayana, the Holy Quran, many lessons of situations, of scenarios, the personalities experience. And from those lessons and scenarios, as we venture into the new decade, we will probably find ourselves in similar situations. And these lessons are nuggets of wisdom for us to deal with whatever challenges come our way. I started my talk by reciting Al-Fatiha, the opening, right? And it would probably take us, it will take us about, let's say, 15 weeks to go through Al-Fatiha. And it's a beautiful prayer. It's the opening of the Holy Quran. And in another talk, I'll go into it. But some of the lessons from Al-Fatiha that we learn, that all praise is due to God, that our God is a creator of attributes, and we seek guidance to walk on the right path, not the path of those who have been brought down. As you venture into the new decade, there's 2 points I would like to leave you with. One, always remember you are not alone. You have your Creator to guide you, and through your Creator, people may come into your life, friends, family, relatives, to help you along the way. And the second thing, you pray for guidance to walk the right path. Make this decade your decade. Take control. Make positive change. Claim your right to happiness, success, and prosperity. I wish you and your family the very best for 2020 and the years to come. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you.